Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm hosting this Zoom today to give you a very important update about the FAMU football program. At 2 p.m. today, Coach Simmons submitted and I accepted his resignation letter as he has chosen to pursue another opportunity. I want to thank Coach Willie Simmons for his hard work to elevate our football program. What he did in his time here is nothing short of remarkable. I sincerely appreciate the hard work that he has put into not only our program, but into the entire FAMU community. Coach Simmons and I have had many great conversations over the past year, including this morning related to the growth, investment, and the support from university administration for the FAMU football program. He's made it clear that the recent commitments to retain and support him will be very necessary for our program to sustain this level of success. I appreciate him advancing those efforts to ensure the long-term success of our program, even with his departure. We've had many, that said, I would like to wish Coach Simmons and his family the best in Durham, North Carolina. As you can imagine, it's been a very busy New Year's Day. I have spoken with Assistant Head Coach James Cozy III, who has agreed to serve as the interim head coach. My current priority is the well-being of our student athletes. I met with current football student athletes earlier today via Zoom to reassure them that they will have everything they need to support their continued success on and off the field. I also met with our current football staff and had a conversation with them about this transition and my expectations of them. I've invited all of our current football student athletes who are in the transfer portal to have a one-on-one meeting with me. It is my focus to re-recruit all of them out of the portal and to recruit them to stay home. Additionally, this evening, I will host a Zoom with our recently committed prospective student athletes. As with every search, it is my goal to find an exceptional head coach to come in and lead this group of student athletes. It will be a thorough but swift search to identify FAMU's 19th full-time head football coach. We are just over 4 weeks away from National Signing Day, so I do recognize the impact that the timing of this announcement will have if not handled appropriately. My vision for FAMU athletics has not changed, and it is for every student athlete to leave FAMU with a degree in one hand and a championship ring on the other. It is important for me to find someone who shares that vision and prioritizes supporting our student athletes in a way that makes that vision a reality. That concludes today's update, and I'll provide more updates as we move through the process of identifying our next head football coach. Thank you all for being here, and again, Happy New Year.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the press conference. We were kind of scrambling behind the scenes. We just wanted to keep this stream live. We got word of the press conference, which turned out to be the resignation press conference for former, first time I'm saying that, former FAMU head coach Willie Simmons. So we found out about that about 30 minutes prior to. So we got that up, and you heard it for yourself. It was very quick. Just some rapid information there that they had a meeting. Tiffany Dawn Sykes, the athletic director at FAMU, had a meeting with now former head coach Willie Simmons this afternoon. He offered his resignation. They accepted the resignation. Interim coach is in place, and they are going to quickly now, FAMU will move on to try and find, they will find, but they're going to quickly find a permanent head coach there for the Rattlers, coming off a Celebration Bowl championship, a National Black College championship for Division I. An incredible recruiting class, at least on paper, in the portal. And now FAMU will have to scramble to try to keep a lot of those things in place, which, in case you caught it from the beginning, Tiffany Dawn Sykes talked about that. Let's see if we can bring in Stephen J. Gaither now. And again, this has just been a fluid situation. There you are, Steve. We had to connect all the dots technically to go from one Zoom to another Zoom. And here we are. So there was optimism this morning. There was a lot of energy coming from the amount of money that was raised over the weekend by the FAMU National Alumni Association. They're expecting $150,000 real dollars, but that fundraising did not. There was no guarantee that came with that Willie Simmons would stay, and we saw reports being published this morning that he would indeed take the job at Duke University as the running backs coach, and that is what has played out here. Stephen and Miles, let's make sure we got Stephen's audio up there on the mixer. We don't want to miss anything Steve has to say here. Founder of HBCU Game Day. Steve, you listened. It was what we expected. I guess some hopefuls in the HBCU circles were hoping that it would be, he's staying, but I'll tell you what, before that press conference began, and I'm going to let you talk here, Stephen, as soon as I saw the thank you Willie Simmons thumbnail, that was pretty much the final dagger there.
Yeah, the final thumbnail in the coffin, if you will, for the Willie Simmons era of FAMU. Yeah, it's again, we were on, we've been following the situation since first trickled out on Thursday that he had this offer, and no one ever denied the offer. So obviously everything that's gone on over the last couple of days.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the press conference. Well, that's not me.
Oh, that's you earlier. That is somebody. You earlier.
Not for sure what
he
that
sounds like you. He sounds like you. But yeah, so again, we've been following this. We get through New Year's. Today is New Year's Day, and just a little bit earlier, as the news was breaking from several sources, 24/7 Sports as well as ESPN, confirming that their sources were indicating that he was going to take the job. Allison Posey, who is a reporter in the Tallahassee area, who has done a great job covering them over the last couple of years, she pulled out an interesting clause that in Simmons' contract that he had to go through December 31st to get his bonuses. Of course, they won the SWAC championship game, the Celebration Bowl, and all of that. So when you start putting those pieces together, and then the news trickled out, obviously it became pretty apparent that this is probably going to happen. And then, like you say, you see that graphic. So it's I think for I can't speak for FAMU fans, but I would just say a sobering event. I think for the AD Sykes, she just got there officially last. She's only officially been on the job, I think, 364 days. So now she's got the task of replacing a guy who's won a lot in a place that they expect to win. So a lot of moving parts here as we are just over 12 hours into the new year. So it's never a dull moment in HBCU sports, and especially down in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I'm reading through some of the comments here. Eric Jackson says, congratulations to Coach Simmons. I wish he was leaving for a head coach or an offensive coordinator position. At any rate, FAMU forward. Somebody here, just some initials and some numbers. Doc Gamble should be FAMU's next coach. Doc is on that staff, right? He former coach at UAPB. Some people asking what happens to all the money that is raised. We had a previous live stream this afternoon that you can go back, and we talked to the president of the National Alumni Association for FAMU, and he was very transparent about the money there and what would happen whether or not Willie Simmons was the head coach. They knew that they raised that money, so you can go back and kind of scroll through and listen to some of the details there. But a lot of people in the chat, Stephen, this is usually a very slow time of the year for HBCU sports. A lot of out-of-conference basketball where people are either beating someone's head in or getting their heads beat in this time of the year. But we were right on the verge of business starting to pick up in the next week with hoops. But once again, football, Stephen, just dominates every month of coverage, and I don't think it's an HBCU thing. I think that's the way it's just advanced in college athletics altogether. And I love basketball. Basketball is actually my favorite sport, but we just can't get away from football, and I am kind of shocked. I really did not see this coming. You know, FAMU was riding high just, 2 Saturdays ago here in Atlanta, and now they're looking for a new head coach, not on the bingo card for 2023.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. You know, I think a year ago when A.D. Sykes took the job over at FAMU, I think I think I had a joke with her about, you know, maybe having to replace Coach Simmons. I think it might have been maybe at the SWAC Media Day. I feel like this is kind of, it's not what people wanted to happen, but I think, you know, we could all kind of see the tea leaves coming. I mean, if you look at what he's done over the course of FAMU, never mind the successful stint he had over at Prairie View A&M, you know, he gets to FAMU, a proud program. The first year he gets them back on the winning track. They look like they're going to win the MEAC and go to the Celebration Bowl. Things didn't go their way. The next year they went 9-2, had the best record in the MEAC, and couldn't go because of APR issues. So he's had a lot of issues to take and overcome. Then they got to the SWAC, and they're still a really good program, and they have to get over that hurdle of Jackson State under Deion Sanders and that juggernaut that was there. The only thing that kept them from getting there. Then you come into this year with all the changes at Jackson State, and clearly they felt like at Jackson, like they still were going to go undefeated. I know they're talking about how great 7-4 was this year, which was a really good record. But you know, they felt like they were still going to be the champions. But Florida A&M, obviously, they had a lot of pieces coming back, and they were able to do what was predicted of them. We were in Birmingham. They were predicted to win the SWAC. They won the SWAC, and then they did what not a lot of SWAC football programs have been able to do. Only Grambling had done it before them, which was win the Celebration Bowl. So, you know, you get to this point where you look at Willie Simmons, who's a guy, he played at Clemson. He's got a lot of connections, and how are you going to be able to keep him in that atmosphere radiating there? You know, he's had the South Carolina job. So many times we've heard of whispers of Willie Simmons, Willie won't he, Willie go, Willie stay. And this time Willie decided to go. I mean, he's won the Celebration Bowl. I think, you know, you kind of have to look at what's next and how much further could he do? Could he continue to stack Celebration Bowls? Probably. But, you know, again, he is still a relatively young guy. I think he's born in 1980, you know, so he's still got a long way to go in his career. And I think, you know, for him, not to speak for him, but it's probably a turning point as far as what he wanted to do and what he wanted to be long term.
Well, let's go back to what Eric Jackson said in the comments, where he said, hey, you know, in essence, congratulations, but I wish he was leaving for a head coach or an offensive coordinator position. I kind of have I have two different vibes going on. I have two different feelings, Stephen. Like, I don't have any problem with anybody who can increase their money. Like, we need it, man. Your kids need it. You need to leave a legacy. Like, I don't have any problem with that. And I'm not counting anyone's money. But man, I would love for HBCU coaches, you know, not named Deion Sanders to leave and, you know, let's up that ante a little more. Again, look, the paycheck is increasing. He's happy. His wife is happy. So I'm not begrudging his decision, but I feel what Eric is saying. Like, let's get some court. Let's get so much respect on our name that we can leave here as coordinators. If our goal, and our meaning HBCU coaches, is to move on. I can feel that. I feel that in my spirit a little bit sitting here, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, something that you would like to see. I remember, and I talked about this in the live that we had on Friday, but Coach Jerry Mack, who was successful at North Carolina Central, he left to go to Rice, but he went as an offensive coordinator as well. And he was there for a couple of years, and then he ended up he's on the Tennessee staff. He's the running backs coach and recruiting coordinator over there and doing really well to the point where he's making enough money where HBCUs can't pay him, right? So that's kind of where he did it. He took the offensive coordinator route. Coach Simmons is not going to be an offensive coordinator. He's going to be a running backs coach. But, given what we know now about he and Manny Diaz, their relationship, also what he has done, as I said earlier in the live, about as far as being able to go and recruit and show that he can grab talent out of Florida and via the transfer portal. I think that he's got to look at this as a situation. Hey, I do this job for 2 years, 3 years maybe, and then I'm on to a high-paying G5 job. I've shown that I can take a program that is not where it needs to be, under-resourced at that, and take it and turn it into a top-tier level. They are a top 5 FCS team, top 10 FCS team all year long. So he's shown what he can do as a head coach. Now I think for him, it's just about getting that. And, you would love to see it as an offensive coordinator. And, as we said, a lot of folks on the national media scale outside of us on the four-letter network, they talked about how, Deion Sanders leaving was going to start this vacuum of coaches from HBCUs to the Power 5. Willie Simmons was probably that next guy. And so
he had the dominant record in the SWAC, Steve. What was it? 32-5, something along those lines.
Yeah, in their 3 years, they never lost to anybody outside Deion Sanders-led Jackson State team. And one of those was by 1 point the first year. So, outside of that, never lost in the SWAC. Only one season of less than 9 wins, and that was his first year, which was FAMU's first winning record in quite some time. So he's proven what he can do as a head coach. I think for him, it's probably, if you don't have that relationship with Diaz, then maybe you sit around and wait for another year. But I think for him, how much hotter could you get beyond a 12-0 season? I guess the only thing left to do now would be to come back and beat Miami and then win the Celebration Bowl again. But you kind of have to look at the ceiling and judge from there. And I think that's what I would probably say is probably what pulled him away.
When I say I feel it in my spirit a little bit, and for me, it goes back to some, historical things that I've seen. Like I've seen head coaches like in basketball who were great head coaches at the HBCU level. And they were like, man, the only way I'm going to get out of here is I got to get into that D1, rat race. So I'm going to go take an assistant job. And I just saw coaches, man, get stuck. Like, they just became career assistants. And I saw the impact that they had, like, on people's lives as head coach, the entertainment value, the championships they brought. And that's not to say that you can't impact, people as an assistant coach. And most players are going to spend more time with their position coach than they do with the head coach. And I understand that. But it, it's a two-way street as a fan. But as the coach himself, look, you got to take care of your family. You have personal aspirations and a belief in yourself and a vision and a roadmap for your life. So it's not for me sitting on the sidelines with my popcorn to say what you should or shouldn't do. So again, I don't begrudge Willie Simmons, but he will surely be missed. And I think that people who truly support him really want to see him shine. Look, if you're going to go on, we hope that you reach the highest levels of what it is that you're chasing as a head coach. So it's a mix of feelings there. But Steve, Tiffany Dawn Sykes, the AD at FAMU, does not have any time to be in her feelings at all. If she has any, she has got to move quickly and expeditiously. Would her let's think about the people she needs to call before the day is over. Everybody in that portal that they sign, I would imagine before the sun, sets fully on the East Coast, she needs to have some level of, text, call, whatever is admissible, to reach out to them. And she said that was her intention, that she's going to reach out to them and schedule, one-on-one conversations and re-recruit those. Let's start there. Steve, does FAMU keep their same level of swag, even though Willie Simmons has now gone on to the ACC?
I think so. I mean, again, FAMU has a long storied history of being a great program with a lot of pride. And I think, as Vaughn eloquently put it, the other couple of days on our lives, Willie Simmons came in and embraced that, even though he wasn't necessarily a part of it, and he made it his own. But I don't see that there's any reason why that if you get the right guy in there, that they can't do the same thing. So again, I know, we talk about, AD Sykes. I know, she's been in the business for a long time. She's been at multiple levels. She's been at a lot. She knows a lot of people, and she's a great networker. So I'm sure she has no shortage of Rolodex for potential head coaches. And again, I don't think that this move is taking her by surprise. She is reaching out to the student athletes, which I think is important. And I know, from knowing what I know about her, that's what she's going to do, because she always makes sure that she takes care of them. So I think it's, again, it's a very crucial time over these next couple of days. She didn't back herself into a corner. She didn't give us an Amazon Prime, guarantee of when we would get a new head coach in Tallahassee. But I think she understands, she has to move with the swiftness and the quickness. But also, I put out on Twitter a little bit earlier, nobody asked me, but I think that, it's most important to, I know a lot of people want to kind of keep everything rolling and keep the gang together, but, they actually had lost a lot of the pieces that were on the team previously were not going to be back. And obviously they've had to hit the ground running in recruiting, which is a 24/7 deal now. But I think, I would hope that, the long-term, I like a long-term solution. If you can bring in if you can find another Willie Simmons, or find someone like him, a guy who's young and energetic, who can keep that together, then I think maybe that eases some of the fears, and can be fit around what they have left there.
All right, so if you're just tuning in, I know there's a lot going on New Year's Day. There's bowl games on TV. There's the college football playoffs, some that are hopefully entertaining, because so far the bowl season has been a bit of a snoozer. But Willie Simmons did announce, or he did not, he informed during a meeting that he was resigning from his head coach position at Florida A&M. He relayed that to Tiffany Dawn Sykes. She held a quick press conference around 3:45, about 30 minutes ago, Eastern time, and relayed that to whoever was watching. We carried that live here. It's at the very beginning of this stream if you want to skip back and catch up to what was said. So that's where they sit, Stephen. Fred McNair, does she get on the phone with Fred McNair before the sun goes down?
Well, I think, it's obvious that Fred McNair still is a free agent, still doesn't have a contract with Texas Southern or anyone else at this point. So I think, you have to kind of fill it out, for sure. I think FAMU, to me, it comes off as a job that, although you can't, and this is not calling Coach McNair or anybody, but you can't just say, okay, this guy can coach, let's put him at Florida A&M. He has to be someone that can rally the snakes, rally the rattlers, someone that they, like Willie Simmons, who, again, was not a rattler, but has those connections. So I think Coach McNair has done great and at Alcorn. I think, it depends on how
four straight Eastern Division titles?
4 straight Eastern Division titles. I don't know. Maybe this is just me, and being from North Carolina. What do I know? I just see him kind of more as a fit in Texas than Florida. But hey, what do I know? What does the Board of Regents know at Texas Southern University? So,
and that's the question I have. Internally, I'm like, does his persona kind of match up with FAMU? He feels like Alcorn, of course, was a great place for his personality. Texas Southern, he could imprint, and there is no culture at Texas Southern. They just haven't won.
Right.
FAMU has so many internal candidates. They might not have to look far at all. Von Wilson talked about that earlier this afternoon. But that aside, before JSU was running the SWAC East and FAMU, it was Alcorn. 4 straight years. That's a nice little byline on your LinkedIn there, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely you kind of fill him out, see what his Florida connections are. Again, I just feel like FAMU seems like a place where they gotta fill you out, or you gotta hit the ground running. I know Bill Hayes was very successful, at Winston-Salem State and North Carolina A&T, and he got down to FAMU. Well, he was the AD, but it's a different world there. And
if you don't fit in at FAMU, it becomes very apparent very quickly. Like we have historically, I think we can safely see that if it's not a good fit, it is quickly magnified.
Yeah, they will let you know quickly. So, I'll credit AD Sykes for she seems to have ingratiated herself there. But I think for sure there's gonna be a lot of scrutiny on her, a lot of scrutiny on President Robinson to find somebody else. And I just think you need to make sure that you get the guy, not just a guy. Because again, once you get into that, well, let's just hand it off to the next guy. That lasts for a little while, but I think you want to have that lasting impact and find another guy like Willie Simmons, who's on the cusp and can get folks excited about what's to come over there at Florida A&M, because there's a lot to be excited about.
Vaughn talked about this. Some people are talking about it in the comments. Steve, Billy Roll seems to be a very popular name right now, is internal kind of within that FAMU family.
Yeah, seeing that name a lot, I will say I'll have to do some more research on him, so I lean heavily on Vaughn there. I just think that I don't know. I think you kind of want to really, move fast but not quick but not fast. However, John Wooden said that, and really,
I get you. I feel you.
Yeah, cast your nets wide. So I think for sure there'll be some. Again, you got to have the fit, but then you also have to make a decision on. What's going to be the best for the program. I think long term, ideally, you want a coach. I think really, if you're HBCU right now, you want to kind of look at a coach as, hey, we get him in here for 3 years. Hopefully, we can have some success. And then in that next 3 year and that second year contract, we kind of start looking for the next guy, because we're having that amount of success. And this is probably what's going to happen. So I think, again, the days of, having somebody that's going to be there for, a decade plus are out the window, but you also want to make sure that you have somebody that can build their own momentum and carry their own wings. So I think it's a delicate dance that they're going to have to do in these next couple of weeks, days, maybe, I don't know, to get this done.
All right. As always, there's 2 shows going on. There's me and Steve here talking, and then there's the comments. Looks like old Rusty is in there just going at it with everybody. Rusty's got time today. He's going back and forth with everybody. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us in the comments and offering your 2 cents. Ray Lewis getting a little love right there. Oh, Mike
Ray Lewis is definitely getting some love. We know him, and another guy wore orange and green. And they have been in those coaching circle job conversations. Ray Lewis was a part of the conversations at Grambling a couple years ago when they went to Hugh Douglas, and we know Ed Reed. He's probably popping up somewhere right now. Now that the announcement is official.
I mean, we can check. I mean, we're live here. We can just scroll through Instagram. What is old Ed Reed's social media of choice?
Yeah, he's definitely on Twitter.
Okay.
He's definitely on Twitter.
He keeps us entertained. I'm just curious as to what he might say.
And then there's also KJ Black, the former quarterback coach that came over with Coach Simmons from Prairie View A&M. He's now with the Rams. So would he be willing to make that move back? Is he ready? So yeah. Let me search Ray Lewis. I'm sorry, Ed Reed, really quick and see what
Well,
Ed's got.
I see some FAMU people are already saying, no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
well,
no, no,
we
no,
did have
no, no.
we did have a poll. We did have a poll in our last live, and I think it was 69% of people said no. Um, the first thing I get is a GIF of Shannon Sharp
Yeah,
shaking his head
yeah.
if he
Same,
favored Ed Reed.
same thing I got. Same thing I got. Look, I'm here like most people. I'm here for the comments on most things. It's highly entertaining. We did get a little correspondence from Vaughn. Vaughn says that he and Willie Simmons are coming in the Zoom shortly.
Oh, okay.
That was 2 minutes ago. So Steve, you and I are gonna have to. You know, going to talk a little longer. So, all right, we got Willie Simmons going to join us here in a couple of minutes.
Stand by.
Yeah, that's gonna. And when he comes, we're just gonna pass it on over to Vaughn because he's got the man of the hour, Willie Simmons there. Steve, let's go back. The press conference was on, and I was in the control room just trying to get things technically lined up for that press conference, and then for us to come on after that. We do have an interim, right?
I didn't hear the end.
We did. I thought she said James Spady. Help me out in the comments. Like, we were literally like moving super, super quick and like making sure we got it on the air, but not sitting there jotting things down with a pen and a paper. There's Quinn Gray. There's some conversation there for him.
Yeah, he's only got. I think Quinn Gray would be a great candidate for a head coach there, but he's only got 1 year at Albany State. Now, he did take them to the SIAC championship game.
Doug Williams had 1 year at Morehouse.
That is correct. That is correct. So, I think, for sure, I think the Rattler base would be there. There's a contingency that will probably be very much excited about. And then there's the other contingency of, where, he's still kind of green as a head coach maybe. But, maybe if you can keep some of that staff that they have there already, and Quinn Gray can fit into that some way somehow. I mean, it's not I had a little experience on NCAA football, but it's a little bit of a different experience there. Maybe this can work. Maybe they can kind of cover up some of the inexperience that he has as a head coach. But he also has been on several college staffs before, including Alcorn State, Memphis as well, and he was also on some FAMU squads with Earl Holmes. I know they don't like to talk about that era, but yeah.
Well, the FAMU athletic site has the thank you Willie Simmons photo up. They have an official release on the site in case you missed that during the all right, so Coach James Colsey will be the interim head coach there. It's currently the assistant head coach. So that is that, and so there's some words and some photos already up on the FAMU athletic site. But again, look at the record there, Stephen. These are the shoes you got to fill. First year, all right, everybody, gets a little. We cut everybody some slack the first year. That was a 6-5 season, but Vaughn Wilson told us that could have very easily have been an 8-3 season in 2018. Then you move on to 9-2, 9-3, 9-2, 12-1. You don't experience that level of winning and like the New England Patriots and just be willing to
I'll say this
continue winning.
I'll say this too, because we're talking about him going in as a position coach. But if you guys do remember, the head coach at North Dakota State, right? Very successful. He's won national championships, I believe. I think he's led them to multiple there. He took the linebacker coaching job at USC. So it's not just an HBCU thing. It's kind of more of an FCS thing, right? So I think you got to look at it a little bit wider scope there. And, that position of running backs coach, I think Charles Huff, who is the head coach over at Marshall, who's a Hampton University alumnus. He started his coaching career at HBCUs, went over to some PWIs. I think he helped coach Saquon Barkley. And then he went over to Alabama, was there for a couple of years. Now he's got the job at Marshall, and we see the job that he's done there over the last couple of years. So obviously I don't believe he was a head coach prior to that, but again, this is not just the HBCU phenomenon with FCS coaches, right? I mean, again, this coach from North Dakota State won the FCS national titles, so it's a real thing.
Stephen Campbell in the comments is quick with the trigger. Steve, he says that is USC, not Duke with the bad coach. So he's not completely sold on, not completely. Although this is not your daddy's Duke. I mean, with all respect to Duke.
And UCLA isn't your big brother's UCLA. I mean, who knows what they're going to be? I mean, it's still Duke. They got money. It doesn't, it is a thing.
All right, so we are live here. We are currently waiting for Von Wilson. He's going to join us with Coach Willie Simmons here on the Zoom. So Miles in the back. We always find the way to shout out Miles every episode. Miles, if you see some more faces pop up on that Zoom, just let us know and just take that full screen. We are going to de-emphasize Stephen J. Gaither. just for a little while, Steve. They're going to take your spot there.
All good.
So we are watching our phones, talking with Vaughn, trying to get this timed up, but we're looking forward to him and Willie Simmons joining us here shortly. Steve, you made a point that I think gets lost in conversation a lot of times. We talk about issues in scenarios and realities of HBCUs, and a lot of times it's consistent with the FCS experience, and we kind of want to think that, all PWIs are just have it made and just do whatever they want to do, and it's just milk and honey. But there's a lot of similar struggles, not with all, but at the FCS levels with some.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually having a conversation about this yesterday in our HBCU Game Day Slack, which is where some of our greatest conversations are there. We'll try to bring them here for you guys. But one of the things was, who the highest paid FCS coaches, how do they make? And generally, coaches at HBCUs are, some of the higher paid head coaches in FCS football. So now when you get to the assistants, a lot of times that is sometimes where the difference is between the MEAC and the SWAC and their FCS counterparts. So, but as far as head coaching jobs go, the money that they get, that they're making is pretty comparable and is better than a lot of PWI jobs as a head coach. So I think, again, the more as we continue to grow and get into this and really understand the landscape of college football in totality and the business, as John Grant likes to say, and so many others, the business of sport, we understand that we often, again, view ourselves in this narrow lens, but we are a part of the wider college athletics landscape. And HBCUs, again, they're doing pretty well by their head coaches as far as salaries when it comes to the FCS. We just kind of got to get those assistants to come up. And that's why, again, when you heard the NAA president and everyone else talking, they made sure that it was not just that the money that was being raised wasn't just for Simmons, it was also for his assistants and things like that. So
is the SWAC East wide open now? Or do you still view FAMU as no matter who comes in and fills that position, or at least, if they make a competent hire, which you think they would, do you think it's still theirs to lose, or does this open up that division, Steve?
I think it's wide open. I think it's wide open. Jackson State is still Jackson State. Coach T.C. Taylor, again, 7-4 record this year, his first year as a head coach. I expect them to only get better. And, as they continue to figure out what works best for them in this new era. So I think they're going to continue to be a threat. And I would not be surprised to see them back on top of the SWAC East next year. Also, you look at Alabama State, it's a question about, there's always going to be that question about their offense, but their defense has been very solid. I think they just lost one of their quarterbacks to the portal. But so they're going to be in the mix as well. Vaughn talked the other day about Bethune-Cookman and how they're attempting to build as well. And then you got, Kyle Maynor over there, who is now the longest tenured head coach in the SWAC, which is really crazy. If you think about it, you've been covering Kyle Maynor as long as you and I have, Sally, that he is the longest tenured coach in the SWAC. He's been there since 2018, but he is the dean of SWAC coaches. So, They've had.
That's my guy. That's my guy. I know some fans want some more wins, but that Connell Maynard's my guy. He's my guy.
Yeah, and Alabama A&M is one of those schools. They've had some football success sporadically, but haven't really been a football school. So I think for them, it's going to be interesting. But he is the longest tenured coach, and after him, gosh, I'm trying to think. I think everybody else.
Well, Steve, I'll tell you what. Think about that for a second. We're going to do some live producing on the air. Vaughn Wilson has joined the Zoom. So Miles, I know we got Steve full screen there. Steve, your voice will still be there. Miles, let's work on getting, and you can take me full screen. There you go, Miles. Let's work on getting Vaughn up. He is standing by with Coach Simmons. So while we work on that, let's recap the events of the day. Coach Simmons did offer his resignation to FAMU, and it was accepted by the athletic director, Tiffany Dawn Sykes. An interim coach is now in place. She says her objectives now are to reach out to all the recruits, including the kids who signed out of the portal, have one-on-one conversations with those kids, as well as have a swift search to replace Willie Simmons, who, he was just absolutely on fire during his time at FAMU, which culminated with a Celebration Bowl win just a couple of weeks ago right here in Atlanta, which signifies an HBCU national championship at the Division I level, and they really went out on top. They only lost this season to an FBS program in a game that was a lot closer than a lot of people thought it would have been, especially early on. So we're just a few moments away from hearing from Vaughn Wilson, who is standing by with Willie Simmons, the now former head coach of Florida A&M University. So while we have these couple seconds, make sure you text your friends, share the link, let them know that you are going to hear directly from the man himself, Willie Simmons, who is moving on to Duke University. He is going to be the running backs coach there for Manny Diaz. So Miles, just let me know when we have Coach Simmons and Vaughn Wilson ready. I've been known to talk to myself for a while. And, we'll just do that until we get the man that you all want to hear. I understand you don't want to see and hear me anymore. You want to hear from Willie Simmons. So we're going to get him squared away there. Look, we got a lot. I'm sorry, Miles, again. Okay, they're ready? Okay, all right. So if we can just bring Vaughn Wilson full screen. There he is. You don't need to see me anymore. Vaughn, you can hear me well?
I hear you well. Can you hear me?
I can. I will just say this real quickly to Coach Simmons, and I'll let you take the conversation over, Vaughn. Coach Simmons, we enjoyed watching you at FAMU. Always an entertaining program, very successful. I personally wish you all the best at Duke University, and I hope you have a meteoric rise as you move up to the FBS level, and we really appreciated and enjoyed covering you while at FAMU. And Vaughn, I'll let you take the conversation over.
All right. We are here, obviously, in Tallahassee, Florida, with the man of the hour, head coach Willie Simmons. I still call him head coach. He's still going to be head coach, Willie Simmons. Coach, quite an exciting few days. I know your phone has not stopped ringing. Just talk about, let's start at the beginning. When you came into FAMU, you had a goal of restoring that program back to its greatness, and you seem to have done that.
Well, yeah, when we took the job in 2018, again, huge shout out to Dr. John Easton, the athletic director at the time, Dr. Robinson, for giving me the opportunity to come to FAMU as a head coach. And, I grew up here, everyone knows that, and just remember seeing the program be vibrant and win championships, compete at the highest level. And we had a goal to bring that back. And so, throughout these years, really worked extremely hard to make that happen. And, we've had some extreme highs, a few lows, and kind of been right there on the cusp for really 4 years. And we're finally able to put it all together this year to bring the first SWAC and HBCU National Championship from the Celebration Bowl here. So just, overwhelmed with gratitude for my time here. I can't say enough about the people. The hardest part of this decision was obviously the student athletes, the guys that I'm leaving behind, but also Rattler Nation, just because of what they meant to me, to my family, just the overwhelming support, and it's a bittersweet day for me. I'm excited about this new challenge, but also my deepest gratitude is to Rattler Nation and the love that they've given me over the years. But my goal when I got here was to get the program back, and I always said when the good Lord put it upon my spirit to transition me to that next phase, that we would leave the program in a much better place than we found it. And I think everyone to a man can agree that we've done that, and I'm really excited about the new direction the football program is headed in.
And I want to say 2019 or 2021, when you were heavily pursued by South Carolina, you decided not to go then. What is the difference is the success of this season in indicating where the program was? Is that the difference in now in you completing your mission than it was then?
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. I try my best to be led by the Spirit. My prayer to God is always to lead and guide me. My wife and I are praying people, and we always said when the time was right, God would reveal it. I always felt I had unfinished business at FAMU. In 2019, obviously we had the mythical HBCU National Championship, but I know Rattler Nation really wanted to hold that trophy up in Atlanta as the undisputed national champions. And so even though that offer was enticing, there were a couple of others along the way that were enticing. It didn't feel right without being able to say that we're the undisputed national champion and see that Celebration Bowl trophy here in Tallahassee where it rightfully deserves to be. And so just completion, obviously we talk about our 7 Fs. The number 7 signifies completion. And we really didn't think that our time here, our mission here was complete without that national title. And not saying that when I got it, I was like, I got to go now, but the opportunity presented itself with an individual that I have a ton of respect for, that I've worked with before. Just the situation seems like the right time and the right situation to be a part of. And so, again, makes it not easier to leave because of the success that we've had. But I always said when I left FAMU, we definitely wanted to leave it as a championship program.
Well, Coach, your integration into the FAMU Lee was amazing. Alumni love Willie Simmons and what you brought and how you integrated with them and everything that you represented and the accomplishments that you made. You and I talked last night. It was just amazing what we saw come out of the FAMU National Alumni Association. And your response to me was, that's why I say there's nobody better than FAMU and the Rattlers.
Yeah, no question. Just, again, we've always known that Rattler Nation was special, that the FAMU is like none other. And to see what we've been able to do, or we're able to do in really almost 24 hours, a little over, was just unbelievable. Again, I think that will be a model for other institutions, HBCUs and beyond, to see what coming together for a common cause looks like. And, I really just commend and share my gratitude to Rattler Nation, to the National Alumni Association, to the FAMU, the Rattler Boosters, to the 220 Quarterback Club, the Rattler F Club, the FAMU Foundation. I mean, everyone coming together for one common goal, and that's to show how much this football program means. I would love to say it's to show how much Willie Simmons means, but it's never been about me. And I think that's one thing that I really want everyone to understand, that the success of this program has never been about Willie Simmons. It's been about us as a collective family doing it together. These young men, these coaches, this support staff, the athletic administration, the university administration, our fan base, our alum, everybody building this program together, because it's taken that to get us to this point. I had a very important role in that, but I didn't have the only role in that. And there are a lot of people that are returning that have a pivotal part in the success of FAMU football. And so, I know it's a bittersweet day. It's a bittersweet day for me and my family. I think I've cried about 4 times in my life, and 2 or 3 of them have been in the last couple of weeks. Winning the national championship, and today, telling the team and telling other individuals, that my time here has come to an end. But I really want to impress upon everyone that the success of this program is about so much more than Willie Simmons being here. I think under my leadership, we've shown what we can be, but it's only because everyone came together. Rattler Nation embraced me, as a native son, and that same love and support will be needed for the next leader of this program. And I think that's so important for everyone to understand. So again, I understand that today is a very somber moment for me, for Rattler Nation. I love this place with all my heart. I will always be a Rattler. I don't care what anyone says. My wife, my family, we will always be Rattlers. But a new era has begun for FAMU football. And I truly believe the success of this program is going to stay where it is because of everyone else that's poured into this program, from athletic administration, our university administration, and Rattler Nation. So again, continue to support, continue to get behind the next leader of this program, because with it, I have no doubt in my mind. We were listening in saying that the East is wide open. No, it's not. The East is not wide open. FAMU still has a strong hold on the SWAC East, on the SWAC, and on HBCU football, because only Willie Simmons is left. These players are still here. As of right now, the coaching staff is still here. And with that overwhelming support that Rattler Nation gives, I have no doubt in my mind that they will be right back in Atlanta next year holding that Celebration Bowl trophy up.
Coach, in history, any person that's been a trailblazer has had a hard way to go. By leaving FCS as an HBCU coach and going to FBS, there's only a handful who've actually done that. And at your age, you're a relatively young man, there is a potential at some point, if you continue and escalate, to be the head coach at that level. Just like I said, being a trailblazer is never easy. But ultimately, most people who know you have seen you possibly take the mantle there. I'm obviously sure, just like every player that comes on your team, that you bring on your team. If I think I remember Walter Highsmith saying, I can't repeat his words, but if you're behind, don't want to go pro, get out of my locker room.
That's right.
If you don't want the highest and the best for yourself, nobody else can't want it for you. And so this is the beginning of another journey for you. And I think in my mind, from what I've seen, that you're ready to undertake that task.
Yeah, I think, as I look at my career and my path, it's ironic that you mentioned players wanting to go to the NFL, and I tell them all the time that when the pro scouts come and they evaluate you, they're checking boxes. They want to make sure that you check all the boxes. And so throughout my coaching career, I've checked many boxes. I've been a play caller. I've been a head coach. I've won a championship. I've put guys in the NFL. We recruited at a high level. We've done a lot of things, and I've checked a lot of boxes off my resume. The one box that I have not checked is being an FBS football coach, Power 5, football coach. I've coached at the mid-major level. And so just looking at my career and looking at where I want to ultimately be in my career, to have the type of platform on the national stage, to lead young men, to have a voice that resonates throughout college football, not just the HBCU landscape, I think this was a pivotal step for me to take. And that's why we're taking it. It has nothing to do with FAMU. I love this place. It has nothing to do with leadership or lack of resources or any of those things or APR, the asinine people talking about APR scores, which are fine. It was made strictly for, me and my family to position ourselves to hopefully one day lead a Power 5 program, because it's been well chronicled that we don't get those opportunities very often. And the sad reality of it is, oftentimes we're kind of forced to make these type of decisions in order to do so. There are guys before me that have made similar decisions to leave, head coaching jobs at HBCUs to get to that level and try to navigate these waters of minorities being in positions of leadership. 130 plus FBS programs in America, less than 20 are led by minority head coaches. And it's been that way for over 20 plus years, and it has not changed. And so, it's been well chronicled, it's been well talked about, but we have to position ourselves to do those things. And, I would love to think that could happen at FAMU. But the reality of it is, it just hasn't. It hadn't happened for an HBCU coach, other than 3 times in the history of HBCU football. Willie Jeffers back in 1979, Jay Hobson in 2015, who doesn't look like you nor me, and Deion Sanders, who's all intents and purposes kind of a one-off. There's only one Deion Prime Sanders to make that jump. And so, not saying that it couldn't be done. I have full confidence in myself and my abilities, but again, everything in life's about decisions, the tough decisions that have to be made. And for me, I rolled the dice to make this move, and it's because of who it's with. I have the utmost respect for Manny Diaz and what he stands for, who he is as a man, as a person, as a coach. I've been around him. I've seen how he interacts with his players. I know what type of program he wants to run, and that's what's enticing to me, to learn from a guy like that and be in that type of environment at a school with a rigorous academic component to it. And just continue to elevate my career. And so all those things went into the deciding factor to make this move. Again, it wasn't an easy one. And again, it's been the hardest decision that I've ever had to make in my coaching career. But with much prayer, my wife and I, we felt that we, one, have done what we said we were going to do here at FAMU. And 2, the good Lord opened that door for us to allow us to walk through it. And we're going to walk through it boldly, and we're going to accept that new challenge. Again, we're never going to forget Rattler Nation. I told Selvin Cobb today, make sure you send me my booster membership so we can become, Rattler boosters. Told VPAD Sykes that, can't commit to being part of the Gaither Society next year at the highest level of giving, but definitely going to see how much we can do to become members and investing in champions and all those things that we've done while we've been here to continue to support FAMU and FAMU athletics, because again, this place is home for me, has been for forever, and will continue to be. So again, I can't say how much I'm grateful and appreciative of Rattler Nation and what they meant to me and my family over these last 6 years. And they haven't seen the last of Willie Shotgun Simmons.
And Coach, we're not going to keep Coach long. I promised I wouldn't keep him long. His phone has not stopped buzzing. I don't know if y'all hear that on the air, but I know there are more people that he needs to talk to. But we want to thank you on behalf of HBCU Game Day. You've never told us no. Win, lose, or draw, you've been accessible to us before and after games. And on behalf of our audience, we want to thank you for always being open to us and accessible to us, because, we're about the love for HBCUs, and that is a big audience. And what you came in and showed during your time here is representative, very well representative of the best of the HBCU legacy. And so we want to let you know that, we get harassed sometimes for following our coaches that leave HBCUs, but we are going to follow you. We'll be on your coattail there, seeing what you did and that sort of thing, checking in for you, because it does represent the HBCU legacy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And again, this institution has meant so much to me. HBCU Game Day, all the media outlets, I'm truly thankful for the coverage, for the love. Again, I don't have this opportunity without the love that I get from the media. You guys are a vital part of that. So, but last, I want to, again, congratulate Coach James Cozy on his appointment as the interim head coach at FAMU. He will do an amazing job. I have the utmost confidence in him as a leader. I know the players definitely believe in him and his ability to lead. I support VPAD Sykes 100% with her task of finding the next leader of FAMU football, and I'll be watching closely. And again, just I'm always, like I said, I'm always a Rattler, and just thankful to everyone for the love, thankful for just everything that they've meant to me over these years.
Okay, to whoever's in the personnel department at Duke Athletics, you already took Kyle Serba. Now you're taking Willie Simmons. Find another school. Find another league to deal with. Our HBCUs are done with you, Duke. No, we're happy to see you up at Duke, and I know Kyle is a great guy, and that you immediately have a friend there, to go along with the people that you already know. But for HBCU Game Day, Happy New Year to you all. He is head coach Willie Simmons, now the running backs coach at Duke University, the reigning Celebration Bowl champion. And we're going to wish him well on his way. And we're going to throw it back to Tolly and the crew in the studio.
All right. Thank you, Vaughn Wilson, for that exclusive interview with the now former head coach at Florida A&M University, Willie Simmons. He is now a position coach. He'll be in charge of the running backs at Duke University. All right, folks, we bring it to you here at HBCU Game Day. We've always had a solid relationship, and kudos to Vaughn Wilson. Is not because of anything other than Vaughn Wilson being Mr. FAMU himself that we get this level of information and access a lot of times with things that are happening at Florida A&M University. So, look, the comments were on fire. People were, I couldn't even keep up with it, guys. But it really seemed to be a lot of support. People felt like there was a lot of class shown there, and I would have to agree. It's about as gracious of an exit as you can have. A lot of people aren't afforded those opportunities, especially when they are taking a new position. But there was love shown on both sides. I felt like it was a very class act by FAMU. I mean, if you go to their website right now, there's a big thank you graphic there with Coach Simmons, and he had nothing but positive words for the university. But if you listen to what he had to say, it was very clear. He has ambitions of being a head coach at the Power 5 level, and of course he does. He's a head football coach. He wants to coach, and he wants to coach at the highest level. So that's very easy to see. But he talked about how hard the path has been and continues to be for minorities. And you just don't see, with the exception, and he listed the 3 examples right there of people who have gone on from an HBCU to be a head coach at the Power 5 level. Like, they're just not passing those tickets out. So he made the decision for his career path, for his family, for his goals, to be a position coach at the Power 5 level, and he's going to work it from there. And he has the utmost belief in himself that one day he will be a head coach at the highest level of college football, which is the Power 5 level. And that has nothing to do with whether or not you love your HBCU or you don't. I mean, the numbers, they just don't lie. When we talk about the amount of money that is made, generated, TV ratings, revenue, budgets, I mean, we all know what the story is. That's why they are grouped. And it may not be long before there's even further division with all this talk of just creating a super conference of the top teams and then just let everybody else fit in wherever they fit in, group of 5, autonomy 5, and all that. So leaving the FCS level, going to the FBS level, that is Willie Simmons. You heard him exclusively. He was not a part of the FAMU press conference. That was strictly led by Tiffany Dawn Sykes. She spoke for about 5 minutes. So thank you again to Coach Simmons for joining us here at HBCU Game Day, and thank you to Vaughn Wilson for all of his hard work. So Vaughn is wrapping up and saying his goodbyes off camera there to Coach Simmons. We're going to try to get Vaughn back on the air and kind of get his thoughts on the backside of that interview. Miles, Steve, do we still have Steve, or is Steve, did he check out? I imagine he might have just dropped out. So we will effort Vaughn to get him back on the air here in a minute. Okay, all right. I hear you, Miles, on that. We want to look through some of the comments here. Is Vaughn, if you can hear me, Miles said you're a little out of focus a little bit, so we want to get you clear before you come in. So excuse me for looking down at the screen. The comments are refreshing so fast. I'm trying to find a good one to express what people are saying here, because as soon as I find one that I like, it just scrolls up to another one. All right, James Jones, I'm going to go with you. James kind of views things a little differently. He says our schools will never be able to consistently be relevant if our own also look at our schools as stepping stones. Well, that's one way that you can look at it. that's their opinion there. Great job, HBCU game day. I appreciate that, Sean Robinson. All right, Junior. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, there's a look at Vaughn or Willie Simmons' record. All right, we got Vaughn Wilson. He is ready. All right, Vaughn, kudos. Good grab there, getting that exclusive interview with Willie Simmons. You could see, I thought one of you all were about to cry before the thing was over, Vaughn. I'm not going to lie. I could feel it. All right. So, all right, there you see Vaughn realized quickly that he didn't have any audio. So Vaughn had to say, he's out there. This is how hard Vaughn works. He secures the interview. He sets up the shot. He runs the audio. He's got to get the stream going. So he had to go from a 2-shot to a 1-shot. And Vaughn, I would imagine, probably muted himself and then forgot to.
Check. All right, I'm back.
There he is. Vaughn, I know how it is, man. I'm almost 50. You've passed 50. We've been one-man banding out here forever, doing it all ourselves, and it's always that one button or that one $2 part that will mess up the whole thing there.
You remember that guy back in the day, the one-man band? He got the bass drum and the cymbal on top, and the kazoo. That's how we have to do it sometimes to make it work.
That's how we roll. But Vaughn, I was serious and kind of tongue-in-cheek because I'm always looking for the lighter side of things. That was emotional, man. Them pauses you were taking, I was like, either Vaughn is thinking of his next question or trying to keep it together there.
We both were. I don't know if you know, I don't know if you all know Willie like I do, but he was pausing more than he ever has, and I was just wondering if I was going to lose him, and then I'd be lost, and then we'd have 2 crybabies on HBCU game day. But I really think if anyone saw this interview, all of the myths that Willie Simmons was going chasing money went out the window. I don't think he mentioned it one time. He is on a goal to escalate to where few HBCU coaches have been, Willie Jeffries and whoever else he named.
Jay Hobson, who was at Alcorn State before Fred McNair. Yeah. Coach Prom. And
yeah.
2 of those are unique circumstances.
Right. So that's an aspiration. I think everyone can realize that he did it the classiest way possible. There was never an ill will. He remained silent, operated in silence. Never if anybody saw his farewell letter, it was amazing. He mentioned everything, Marching 100, fans. He mentioned everyone related to the FAMU League. So that lets you know that all of those people affected him while he was here. If in fact, he was able to convince the players that are there to stay for a new head coach, and they are able to convince the players to continue to come that were coming. If he was successful in doing that, it could mean, as he said, the East still may not be as up for grabs as people think. You've got Bethune-Cookman inching up over there. We expect a better season out of Alabama A&M. T.C. Taylor at Jackson State. You never know what you're going to get out of Alabama A&M. They could come out and scorch everyone. So what this does is actually set up for exciting and interesting look into the 2024 season.
Vaughn, is it a symbol of success if your coaches are sought after, if they move on, and then you just, we always talk about next man up on the field, next coach up, and if you're able to continue, the level of prosperity or at least stay within the hunt as you move from one coach to the next, I mean, that's not the worst thing. I mean, I don't think we live in an age where you can expect every coach can't win, and every coach is not going to stay there 20 years.
Well, I go back to my granddad and a saying he used to say, don't get no girl that nobody else wants. My granddad used to say that all the time. I don't know what the heck he meant. But if it's not attractive to someone else, how attractive is it? With anything. A young coach with a mind as Willie Simmons, the upward mobility of him, the stability he could provide, I don't see why any coaching staff would not want someone like that, and who is a winner. So obviously Manny Diaz, he has a track record with working together at Middle Tennessee, and his son was a graduate assistant at FAMU. Coach Simmons lands in a probably the best situation he could be in, because the head coach can also be a mentor in pushing him along his path. Now, I've also heard that there were other coaches who are in the FBS level that also encouraged Coach Simmons to take this step. That is success at the next level depended on him getting in the game, which was getting on at an FBS staff. So it was not only Manny Diaz. Willie Simmons is well respected by a lot of coaches at the FBS level, both head coaches and assistant coaches and coordinators. So this is a big step for him and his family. His wife, Shea, we spoke to her, the two-time FAMU graduate, their children. It's a family move. When a coach takes a job like this, it's not just him, it's a family move. And I'm sure he's thinking about his family. So hats off to him. Anybody who has ill will toward him that's a Rattler, you really don't understand him and everything he's poured into FAMU and poured into his position during the time he's been at FAMU. For us, like I said, he's never told us no. Even on the worst day after the 59-3 defeat to Jackson State. Here I am there with a mic in his face, and there was no attitude. He was professional and rebounded after that to go on a run. You know, so that's the character of Willie Simmons. FAMU will sorely miss him. Like I said, he was a beloved Rattler. But FAMU has to move on. The alumni showed that football is important to them. The donations will give the next coach a head start, and it'll also solidify the assistant coaches. So I think it's a blessing in disguise in the overall funding of the athletic department at FAMU. I think alumni probably felt a knee-jerk reaction, like, you know, we didn't know the need was this bad, you know, this fast, and that is why the donations came in the way they did. But the alumni also love winning. And if that's what it's going to take to win, if that's what it's going to take to get back to the Celebration Bowl, then that's what they're willing to invest in.
Do you think that's the new standard now at FAMU? It's you know, alumni giving has doubled up, at least within the pockets of the people that did contribute, who are already giving and then gave over the weekend. Do you get the feeling that they're just going to say, hey, we're not only we're going to level up, we're going to stay up?
Well, one thing Curtis didn't say, that they did tell people you can write it off on your taxes. So it did come in at a good time.
Just barely.
It was that small window where you can write it off on your taxes. But I have seen FAMU over the years through the Rattler Boosters, the 220 Quarterback Club, the National Rattler F Club, the FAMU Foundation, answer several calls. And I just think that is why the university has continued to escalate. It's because the alumni understand that only alumni can actually help take the school over the top. You know, my rants about schools that should probably drop athletics, they don't have to do this, what FAMU did, but at some level make some kind of effort to make your school better. That's really all that I was saying. And you know, it's funny, I'm still getting comments, people asking me which schools. All the schools that don't support your athletic department and expect your team to win on Saturday or whatever day they play, that's who I'm talking to.
All right, speaking of talking to, who should Tiffany Dawn Sykes be talking to? It's no longer hypothetical. We need some real names, some real people to be in position to interview and take over at FAMU. Do you think, this is just your opinion, Vaughn, should there be a strong push search internally, or do we need a wide net here? She talked about how swiftly she wanted this search to go and be completed.
She does not have time to make a wide search. it needs to be swift and direct. Make a short list, vet them, interview them, and hire a coach. No committees, no processes except the athletic director finding a coach and committing to that coach, and finding a viable coach that can continue to take the momentum that the team already has. One advantage of finding someone internally or close to the team is there's so much that has been developed over the last few years under Simmons that someone coming in completely changing the system is not a viable option at this point. What's there is working. As Coach Simmons said, he didn't say it so much as he's a piece of the puzzle, put another piece of the puzzle in there and you still have the puzzle completed. He was short of saying that. Yes, nobody calls a flea flicker at that time of the game. That's all Willie Simmons. But a lot of the other things are in place now that are there for a successful FAMU football team.
Vaughn, I asked Stephen this. What are your thoughts on Fred McNair? Is that a personality fit at FAMU? Do you think that could potentially work out? There's a lot of talk about that with him kind of being up in the air at Texas Southern and being a man who has shown he can win the SWAC East multiple times, 4 years back to back.
Well, I put Fred McNair on my list in our article on HBCU Game Day about, if Simmons leaves, who could fill the void. I don't know the situation with him, how easily he could just withdraw. I don't know how easily he could just withdraw from the other process and take a chance on this process. That's how he got where he is now.
True.
Withdrawing
True.
before something else was solidified,
True. Very true.
But listen, I very much respect Fred McNair as a coach, though. He's an amazing coach.
You had some names that you thought were favorites, and part of that equation that you had was keeping these kids who have signed, who have committed, who jumped out of the portal to jump over to FAMU, some of them from just down the street at Florida State. That's something that Tiffany talked about in her press conference earlier this afternoon. Like, she's got to have one-on-ones with those kids to keep them engaged, connected, and committed to FAMU.
The way to keep this team together is for those kids that are there now to make sure they're bought in on what's happening and who you bring in. If you bring in an unknown, these kids who have been through the low times and have been there with the Rattlers as they've climbed, they're going to bolt. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're going to find the cupboard bare. If you bring somebody that's familiar and they say the players feel like they can continue to be successful and do what they've been doing, I think the kids will stay and they'll convince those kids who are coming in to come on in, to continue with the winning culture at FAMU. I just don't think you can go real different right now and be successful in maintaining a great core of players. Just like Coach Simmons says, he didn't leave the cupboards bare. The core of that team that's just returning, if you start calling names, that team could be special again. But if you go outside, I'm not sure the core of that team will stay together.
And Vaughn, you know this much better than I, being Mr. FAMU. FAMU just has a certain, I guess maybe it boils down to brag differently. Like, everybody has their own personality, but FAMU has this level of swag that is unique within the conference. Like, maybe it's a Florida thing. I don't know. But is that like one of those intangible things? Like, as crazy as it sounds, like you got to keep your swag intact.
Absolutely. The SWAC championship game, FAMU was not allowed to have, because it wasn't a FAMU game. It was basically a neutral game. FAMU wasn't able to have its DJ, which it normally has during the game. Not many schools have a DJ that has a wireless mic who's out in the audience, inciting excitement from the crowd. There are just a lot of things that are unique to FAMU and and as I say it again, which is why I don't know how you can call yourself having a battle of the bands, because each school is different what they want. And FAMU's Marching 100 plays exactly what the FAMU fans want. There's not going to be a band better than the Marching 100 for the FAMU fans. There's not going to be any cheerleaders better for FAMU than the FAMU cheerleaders. There's not going to be a DJ better. The core of that game day experience that those players feel when they walk out of that locker room, they want that maintained. It's almost like their superpower. The players could walk out of that locker room normal, but as soon as they get out on that field and they see the alumni, the student section, Venom, the cheerleaders, run through the March 100, you can see them electrify. That is their superpower. If you take that away from them or bring someone in who doesn't understand that, who doesn't fully understand that and what it means to those players and what it means for those alumni, then you got a mixture that's, to me, too different than what the players are expecting.
This is going to be a critical week. Is Tiffany Dawn Sykes, her job is going to be to keep this program together, to get a head coach in there and keep it moving forward. How critical the next, I guess tomorrow's not a holiday. I guess the rest of the world gets back to work on Tuesday. The next 4 days heading into this weekend, how crucial and critical will this week be?
It's going to be critical for her to navigate what's all going. Listen, there are going to be coaches we haven't even named who are going to apply or be interested in this job, and several of them are not going to want to expose that they're interested in the job as not to receive the backlash from where they're coming from. But trust that the head coaching position at Florida A&M University is a very desirable job. It's not only just a desirable job in the HBCU world, but in the FCS world. And I believe that because of the high-profile position that job holds, because of the tradition that position holds, the university is going to be bombarded by inquiries about the job. So
it's probably being bombarded right now. I would dare say.
I've been bombarded. I have nothing to do with the process. I stopped working at FAMU in 2019, and I've been bombarded, literally bombarded. Inquiries, questions. How do you do this? How do you get considered for the job? Who is she considering? It is a very interesting and high-profile position.
Is FAMU a fit in your mind for a big NFL name, whoever it might be, that maybe doesn't have as much coaching experience, but has a name, has some cachet that can just, click quicker than maybe other people? We all kind of know, these type people, and there's nothing wrong. They are who they are. They can't help it. They're famous. They can't help it. They love football. Could FAMU possibly be a fit for a candidate like that?
It would 100% depend on their personality, because if FAMU's not first, it's not going to work. Just like Coach Simmons on his way out, it's still FAMU first, FAMU first. It's not me or anything else first, it's FAMU first. And that's what the coach that comes in has to have. Any coach that has anything besides FAMU first, it's not going to work. I don't care what their resume is.
Because at FAMU, if I talked about this with Steven while you were getting ready for the shot with Coach Simmons, and again, if you're tuning in late, we had an exclusive interview with Coach Willie Simmons. You can just scroll back here in this stream and watch that, or wait till we end here in a few minutes and rewind back. But Vaughn, if you don't fit in at FAMU, it won't be a secret for very long.
Not at all. Not at all. We've seen some disasters at the head coaching position. That we bore that, which is why I have the utmost respect for Coach Simmons, because he always kept FAMU first. He kept his kids first, but always kept that FAMU shield first.
And give us some perspective, Vaughn. What did Coach Simmons solidify? Give us a little bit of context. We have such short attention spans and short memories sometimes. Like what the program was like before he got there, and what he was able to do to get the program where it is right now.
Well, Coach Simmons was able to unify all of the parties together, and you can see all of the parts of campus working together to improve him, because he came in with humility. He came in with a reputation, but he came in with a humility and a respect for FAMU and the legacy of FAMU. When someone comes in like that, the plant operations department, who's critical to making sure the locker room is clean and making sure the field is prepared for game day, the financial aid department, all of those departments, he came in and he respected those departments. And if you know anything about working not only at a HBCU, but any college, you need the parts of the university to work for you as well. Externally, the boosters, Alumni Association, all the affinity groups, the National Rattler 220 Quarterback Club, he was open and accessible to them. You know, Willie had to make a tour every year called the Strike Tour. And, you know, one year they raised over $550,000 visiting alumni associations, you know, like a 10-city stop. That's amazing. So the alumni didn't just start raising money. They didn't just start, you know, because Coach Simmons was leaving. The Alumni Association and the alumni have been raising money for FAMU athletics. Let's get that correct. That Strike Tour brought in millions of dollars over the last few years. And that's not attached to anything. That's giving. You don't get a ticket. You don't get a parking space. That's just giving. So I think he solidified with his charm. I think he solidified those groups until those groups excelled better than they had in the past.
Well, congratulations once again to Willie Simmons and his family. He has resigned effective today as the head coach at Florida A&M University. He will move on to Duke University, where he will be a position coach in charge of the running backs there. FAMU has an interim coach on staff. Vaughn, tell us a little bit about the interim coach there. Give us some details and background there.
James Colsey comes from Florida State. He was a great defensive back there. He's a very even-keeled guy, exactly like Coach Simmons, and I think that's why he was chosen to do so. Literally, if there was a personality like Coach Simmons on that coaching staff, it is him. He understands what this program needs and what needs to happen in the near future. I think he's a good choice to help solidify the program, someone who's serious, forward, knowledgeable of what needs to happen at this point, and someone who the players like and can look to. And I think if there's anybody there on staff who can help curtail a mass exodus, I think it's Coach Colsey.
Yep, that will be one of the priorities in the days to come. Vaughn, it's been one hell of a week, man, and I don't even know if this Willie Simmons saga has been a week. When did we first kind of feel like there was something potentially happening?
Just a few days ago, man. I mean, just a few days ago.
Yeah.
We went from there to here.
It's been dog years. The math has felt like dog years. But the emotional roller coaster for you, the last few days, how would you sum it up?
Yeah, outside of it, sometime I am challenged. I knew Willie Simmons before he came here. We're personal friends. He and his wife and me and my wife hang out. We were. Let me tell you, he's leaving, but he should have been my poker partner, because we were together to bring New Year's in last night, and I looked for any sign I could find, and I didn't get anything, not a single tip of which way his hand was going to go. It wasn't until later on, sometime this afternoon, that they kind of contacted me.
Even this morning, you thought maybe he was going to stay.
It was, I'm missing my poker player, Willie Simmons, I promise you that. But like I said, it's a great journey. He doesn't owe FAMU anything. He did a great job when he was here. He earned every penny. I hope FAMU makes sure to take care of him and all the bonuses that he earned by winning the Celebration Bowl. There is some value to that. So we wish Coach Simmons well, and like we said, we can always call him a Rattler now.
All right. Well, Coach Simmons did the best for himself and his family. Vaughn, I had a whole day playing with my family that has not happened.
Did you ever get them greens off the stove?
I hope my wife turned them off, or else they're not going to be greens. They're going to be blacks by now, because they're going to be simmering for like the last 8 hours. Vaughn, there might be 30 minutes of sunshine left on the East Coast. I'm going to try to go home and enjoy some black-eyed peas and some collard greens. I think we have discussed this from all angles here, and at this point, it is what it is. Willie Simmons.
We got some great stories on HBCU Game Day, especially the one about potential coaches. We, as a staff, in depth went and looked at some people, and you might have some people you think are suited as well. Yeah, check out that article. I think I guarantee you some of those names will be looked at.
Yeah, lots of names thrown around in the comments. People have voiced their opinion and will continue to do so in the days to come. Thank you so much to everyone who hung out with us in the chat today. We were over 500 people, and you guys were going back and forth. We appreciate your support. FAMU moved quickly and was very transparent throughout the process. I mean, even holding the press conference today, sometimes they wait until the coach arrives at the new school and lets the new school handle all of the information. But I thought it was just a class act on both sides, Vaughn. You did a great, outstanding job. Stephen J. Gaither has been on it, the entire game day crew behind the scene. Miles, one more shout out to Miles. So it's been quite a day. We will be talking about this in the days to come. The story is just getting started. Who's going to be the new man at FAMU? Can FAMU keep the recruits and keep it all together and keep that momentum going? It'll be a hot topic as the new year begins on a Rattler note. Vaughn, try to enjoy your day, man. It's been a long one. We appreciate your work. We appreciate all the fans out there. I'm Tolly Carr in Atlanta. We will talk to you guys, talk to you Rattlers and everybody else. Enjoy your day. We'll talk to you later this week.
Ooh.